In feudal Japan, there was a road between Edo and Kyoto where you just traveled and you enjoyed the journey. It wasn't like the American road trip today where you just get from point A to point B as quick as you possibly can. No, you took your time, you enjoyed the scenery, you met local people, you just had a good time. Tokaido is a game that is about that. Meeting people along the way, about seeing beautiful scenery, eating good food, buying knickknacks, just enjoyment. It's about slowing down and taking the most from the journey that you are on. In the game, you get points whenever you stop along the way and do something fun, like buy knickknacks, visit people, go to the hot springs, enjoy the scenery. The person with the most points, i.e. the person that enjoyed themselves the most on the journey, wins the game. Tokaido as a game is a journey. It only takes about an hour to play, if that. Honestly, the first time I learned it, it took 45 minutes. You start the game as one of the available characters, and each character starts the game with a different amount of money. So you start the game with literally just the money in your pocket, and by the end of it, you've got a spread of food and items and experiences and scenery, and it's just beautiful. Tokaido isn't really a game that you stress about, and for some players that might not be the kind of game they're looking for. Some gamers are more serious and want something with a bit more meat and grit on it, but you can really just play Tokaido from turn to turn. That's why I think it's so great for casual gamers and gamers alike. It's a game that you can play together. It's a good introductory game. It's a game that you can sit down and play with your mom and your kids that might not be big fans of games. I have a friend that's not that much of a gamer, but her boyfriend is, and we sat down and played a game, and she kicked his ass at this game, and she loved it the entire time. It just clicked for her. The art is pretty, everything's beautiful, and it just makes sense. Doesn't mean it doesn't have its faults. The game is somewhat solvable, like you know where you need to go win if you are a certain player, so but there's a bit of strategy when it comes to where you want to stop along the way. Do you stop at the hot springs and get a guaranteed 2 or 3 points, or do you go to the village and collect some knickknacks hoping that you'll be able to get something that'll work in your set, thus giving you maybe 5 or 7 points? It's kind of a gamble, and sometimes you have to make the tough decision knowing that your opponent is probably going to take whatever it is you don't take this round. So if you're banking on your opponent not taking the spot that you want on your next turn, then you're probably safer off going there yourself. You might have to give up a panorama scene or maybe a hot spring spot to get it, but you'll be sure to land on the end. It also is somewhat of a casual game. If you're not interested in finding something that's a new casual game, this might not be the game for you. But as somebody who games pretty hardcore, I like having a game where I can just sit down and play and just strategize turn to turn. I don't need to plan out more than a few turns ahead, which is kind of relaxing. It's a good family game. It scales well for 2 to 5 players, and it takes under an hour to play. The component quality in Tokaido is just fantastic. Even the rule book is made of really high quality paper that is so thick you will think pages have stuck together. The character cards are made with nice thick cardstock. The meeples are little shaped guys. This game is beautiful. The card art, the board, everything is just simple, clean, beautiful colors. It's pretty. Tokaido is a journey. There's no mistaking it. At the end of the game, you definitely feel like you've been someplace. I mean, just from the amassed amount of goods that you have, the people that you've met, the places you've seen, the hot springs you've soaked in. Tokaido as a game doesn't take a lot of time. But at the end of the game, you feel like you've actually been someplace, that you've actually experienced some part of the world. I know it sounds stupid, it's just a board game, but it's so well executed. Tokaido is not a difficult game. It really isn't. I've taught it to gamers and non-gamers alike, and really, generally, the non-gamers tend to do just as well, if not better, than the gamers. The game is pretty. The art is just simple and clean and beautiful. The box is basically pure white with the name on it. This wind is really loud, and I bet you can't hear anything I'm saying. So, you know, to sum it up and not kill myself as I walk down these steps, is Tokaido a game that I would recommend? Definitely, most assuredly. Gamers, non-gamers alike. Gamers if they want a game that'll be a good wrap-up for the evening, maybe a beginning game, something light. I mean, it's a beautiful game. This is what I do for the internet.